The Norman Music Festival is Oklahoma's largest festival. It's
a community effort. It's a celebration of art in Oklahoma.
It is a 3-day craziness that happens, once a year in Norman.
The Norman Music Festival is a great mix of bands and music, a great community event.
The Norman Music Festival is a non-for-profit, free music festival.
3 days of free fun in a beautiful historic downtown setting.
Norman Music Festival is an awesome opportunity to bring out the community of Norman and showcase a lot of local and upcoming bands, along with giving them the opportunity to play on large stages with well-known bands.
And as well as showcasing some of the things that Norman has to offer in future, such as restaurants, activities, fun places, shopping, etc., etc.
It's almost like, why would I have to explain what it is? But it's one of the biggest festivals in the country, probably.
Norman Music Festival number 9. I saw this picture of the crowd on Main Street that Steven Tyler took, and it was just overpowering just how many people.
Massive, yeah.
Yeah, it was massive how many people were out on Main Street. It was like from end to end, and I was amazed. It was the next day, I think I saw it on Twitter, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing.
It was big. I didn't even know it was that big.
It
definitely felt big, but seeing the photos, mind-blowing.
It was, and it was like, wow, we were a part of that, even though maybe we had just a few fans come to our set.
I want you to know that this festival is a way bigger deal, just as far as cultural impact, how much fun it is, and how much you can do than what you're thinking. It's not so sold out, or it's not sold out at all, actually, as a lot of other festivals where it is just overpopulated with people who don't appreciate being there. Everybody appreciates being there.
There's food trucks, there's activities for kids over the kids stage.
It's in a downtown area, so it has a downtown kind of hometown feel.
It's not like you're out in this field, in this muddy field, seeing band. There's a lot of places to escape to if you don't want to just hang out at the festival, or you can hang out at the festival the whole time. There's plenty of food vendors.
Almost expect the unexpected. You could be walking down the middle of Main Street and all of a sudden encounter fire breathers, jugglers, people on stilts, and you're at a music festival. So I don't think that these random acts of creative display are something that you would naturally expect, but you're going to encounter it.
There is a carnival associated with our festival, although we don't put it on. It's put on by the Lions Club. They do their own street closure work and bring that in every year. We always get emails, people think that we put that on, but we don't. But we're really glad to be associated with them at the same time frame.
From my experience, the Norman Music Festival caters to a wide range of people, from jazz to rock to
country to metal.
Jazz, rock and roll, pop music.
Some hip hop, some EDM, some
classical string quartet.
To soul.
A lot of indie rock.
By Jaruba, African drumming.
Kids music, which is fantastic. So it's a great family atmosphere.
There'll be a pretty huge variety of music for everybody.
It really depends on which stage you're at, what time you're there, and what day or night you're going to be there. You'll have a large variety of different things going on.
Each stage has a character, and our main stage has always been more of the indie world, although it can be eclectic.
There's all type of musical acts, from literally the letter A to the letter Z. I am in between there.
You sort of get to see all of Oklahoma's best all in one day. You don't have to drive to Tulsa to see the Tulsa bands.
I can see a lot of good talent that I wouldn't normally get to see. It's free.
But, we don't have cover bands. It is exclusively original creativity and almost exclusively Oklahoma. So it's a celebration of the musical art form in this region.
To anyone coming to the festival, I would tell you, have fun, always wear sunscreen, and
don't bring anything that's going to drag you down, such as big purses, heavy equipment, backpacks.
It's easier to park a couple of blocks and walk back to your vehicle than get too close and either get confused and get in congested areas or maybe get stuck on a street which you're unfamiliar with.
And try to be patient for the people that are working on the production end of things, trying to make it a smooth and safe event.
And don't come drunk and cause drama.
Pack light, wear comfortable shoes, drink lots of water.
Plan the venues you'd like to visit and the music you'd like to see, because there's a lot going on. So if you kind of do your research to begin with, then I think you'll probably end up seeing and hearing everybody that you'd like to see and hear.
Consider looking at the festival website of the do's and don'ts, what you can and can't bring. That's another thing. A lot of times people will try to bring something in that they aren't supposed to bring, and then they're stuck with it at the festival entrance. If you can leave that in your car or leave it at home, do.
Get the app. When you get the app, we have an iPhone and an Android app. You can get it on the website. There are schedules of each day, every venue, all the bands. So you can click through, and there are links to bands in their website and a way that you can plan your schedule and your day.
Be ready to literally want to listen to nothing but acts from this festival for the next, probably for the rest of the year.
Just like read up on the artists, because it's just amazing to read about what they put, all the work that they put into their music. And you know, what you get to see there is just an hour of hours and hours and hours and hours of work that they've done.
You might find things in the alleyways behind the Main Street buildings where someone may be playing a small set.
If you're gonna attend Norman Music Festival, only thing you need to do is bring a good attitude and have fun.
I think that my favorite experiences are when I'm walking down the festival streets without any real idea of who's playing what venue, and you just hear something and it sounds good and it sounds right, and it's almost like a siren song, right? It draws you in and you end up finding yourself in a venue listening to something you may have never heard before.
My favorite part about the festival is people watching.
Experiencing 80,000+ people coming into Norman within a few blocks.
I always like going to it because there's always something to see.
Getting to see Main Street shut down and open up really and create a nightlife scene in downtown Norman that, you know, we hadn't seen before the last decade when this festival started coming around.
I grew up in this town, and it kind of provides a really good pulse of activity.
It's like a game day, except it's celebrating art, music, and original creativity, mostly from the state of Oklahoma. It's just a blast.
I'm a father to 2 small children, so getting to walk the streets with my kids, having grown up in Norman and having walked those streets with my grandparents when I was a kid, there's a lot of nostalgia and a lot of pride that gets wrapped up in that. And so simply just being able to be a parent and to be able to take your kid to something so family friendly and have it be free and open to the public, that's, to me, just walking around with my kids and getting to see it through their eyes at this point is the most special thing I can encounter.
A lot of the places will have post main stage kind of after parties or just post shows, and so a lot of times people will be playing music late into the evening, late into the night. So just because the main stage ends doesn't mean you have to run home just yet. If you want to avoid a little bit of traffic, hang out, watch a little more, kind of drift in and out of some of the venues, and you might find something going on as well.
We know that this festival has grown, that everybody wants to be a part of it. There are a lot of other groups, organizations, bands, musicians that have pop-up events that happen on the same weekend as the festival. They're all around the festival footprint, and we are happy to see that grow. There are things that keep us from being able to claim them all as our own. Obviously, if somebody puts up something of their own, they want the credit for that. But things that fall outside our footprint, we can happily let people go see our neighbors, but we don't get to claim them. That's just sort of logistical and reality issues about fencing permits and all the things we have to do to make the festival happen.
The unofficial festival events, bands that may just be playing an acoustic guitar on the sidewalk or venues on the fringe of the perimeter, I love it. I think it just adds to the fun.
As far as musicians wanting to come down and play, every year there have been buskers along every alley and street at the Norman Music Festival. And I think for the most part, we're really happy to see that happen. It crosses a line for us sometimes. We've had a couple of bands that came, brought a generator plugged in, amped up, and we couldn't hear what was happening on one of our stages. I think that's it. We draw the line at plugging in and overshadowing a stage, but other than that, bring a guitar.
Acoustic guitars, that's, acoustic band sitting on a corner playing some music, I think it just adds to the fun. Sometimes you'll see people will gather around them in a group. There's always other venues that will book their own acts, and it's almost always free like our festival. It just makes for a great time. I love it.
Norman likes to call itself the city of festivals. We have Jazz in June, we have the Medieval Fair, we have a lot of other things, but when this one came along, I think the thing that made me the happiest is the same thing that makes me happiest each and every year. All of Norman is out. You see people just flying their freak flag proudly in downtown Main Street. There are families with kids. You see young people, old people, couples holding hands, everybody's out and discovering new music, and I loved that.
Okay, so my first Norman Music Festival was actually Norman Music Festival 1. I've been going since I was in high school. I just showed my age. And I went because there was a girl that I had a crush on. She's like, we're going to Norman, to the Norman Music Festival. I, of course, made jokes the whole way there. And I was like, wow, this is pretty dope. So I've been going since then.
The very first year of the Norman Music Festival was chaotic. It was not as organized as what it is today. We were very fortunate at the time to have a Norman Arts Council with a lot of really forward-thinking and progressive people on that board.
The first year of the Norman Music Festival was very exciting and tentative.
The way it came about is there were several people around town that had a similar idea at the same time, and thanks to the Norman Arts Council, everybody got organized, and there was a little bit of financing to try to put this thing on.
We had a shoestring budget. We asked everybody and anybody that would listen to us for a donation, whether it be cash or in kind, and we were overwhelmed with the support that we got. We had people like Kent Johnson from Massive Graphics, and without him coming to the table and bringing screen printing ability, right? Something that I think that can be taken for granted by any arts organization, but somebody to print signs to make the festival look professional.
We thought, if we shut down some streets and build a big stage, are we going to be out there by ourselves with just a handful of people? But we were pleasantly surprised. 13,000 people by our estimates showed up.
It wasn't like we came from backgrounds that we knew how to do these things. My experience was attending music festivals. I'd gone to Austin City Limits and Bonnaroo and Wakarusa and other festivals like that. So I had experienced those from a patron standpoint, and I knew what I thought a music festival should look like and what it should sound like, but knew nothing about how to put one on. And we were lucky that the city of Norman really was supportive of the idea. They helped us through a lot of the things from a strategy and logistics standpoint.
Going back to the first year of the festival, nobody knew what to expect.
Everything was unknown and brand new, and we learned from a lot of mistakes. It wasn't until years later that I think we had what we called the playbook, which was literally a 3-ring binder, just chock full of all the notes from the mistakes and successes that we had to that point, trying to figure out what to do.
Polyphonic Spree put on a huge show, and it just it was pretty mind-blowing. We had 27 bands total that year.
Cut to that night, and I was stage managing the main stage before the Polyphonic Spree set. And I'm up on top of the stage right after the Chainsaw Kittens have finished, who Tyson Mead, Trent Bell, all of those guys were idols of mine as well growing up. And you look out, and you think you have an idea of what 5,000 people is going to look like, right? But you really don't know. And I remember looking out on the stage, and the sun's just gone down, the headliner's about to come out, and I'm thinking, man, that looks a lot more people than what we were thinking should be here. That looks like a lot more. And then here comes the Polyphonic Spree walking out of one of the streets, and they're coming up through the crowd, and they're actually cutting the crowd, and they're all wearing their white robes, and that's what they were known for up to that time. The Polyphonic Spree had the stage presence, and they're 15 to 20 members strong when they go out and perform. So to see 15 to 20 people in these robes that are brightly decorated with all of these different types of color fringe, it's a sight. And to see them splitting this giant crowd of people to make their way to the stage, it was incredible.
Well, after the success of the first year, it was everybody was pretty excited to get after it for the second year. A lot more people wanted to get involved, which was awesome.
When we had over 15,000 people show up that first year, we knew that we wanted to do it again, and we knew that we wanted to try and expand it. So that next year, in year 2, we really tried to focus on stay a one-day event. Let's increase the quality of the experience for all of our patrons and for our musicians. And let's just expand the number of musicians that are playing that day and the number of venues that we have.
The first year, I believe we had 27 bands, and we had something like maybe 40 in the second year, just by making use of a few indoor venues.
By year 3, we knew that we had something special. So in year 3, we actually expanded to a 2-day event, and we're able to increase the number of bands by a large number by doing that. And
I believe it was year 4 where we decided to start taking applications. And that's when the festival really exploded. 200-300 bands were applying. At this point, it's up to 700 or 800. So we just found more places to put more bands, and it took on a life of its own.
And I think for me, when we started going to multiple days, 2 days, but especially 3, is when it really started to open our eyes more and more to, we're not just doing a music festival because it's fun and we like music. We're doing this because there's a lot of good that it's doing for our community in terms of tourism and economic catalysts for new business and creating new businesses.
So Boom, I was wondering, any thoughts and feelings on the Norman Music Festival?
It's exciting.
What's it like to perform? It is pretty amazing.
It was
a blast. Yeah.
It was so fun.
Got to play all sorts of great places when I was younger, and the Norman Music Festival definitely was in close comparison with those places as one of the best experiences I've had as a performer, for sure.
It was very welcoming. There were a lot of people, and they were all very nice, and after we played, they all came up to the stage, said, that was a great set, you guys did amazing, and we just felt a lot of love.
There were a lot of people there. Sometimes, we go to festivals and it's like, okay, it's hard to get a hold of somebody or find out what's going on, but there it's just really smooth, a really easy transition between bands. It's all really close to each other.
As a performer, the advice that I have to other performers is crumble every show that you've ever done before. If you never performed at a festival, this isn't like, if you're a rapper, this is not like a rap show. If you're, a punk artist, EDM, anything like this, because you could be put in a room to where it's EDM act, pop act, country act, rap act. So now you're not stacking up against people in your genre. You're stacking up is this person good or is this person bad? And you have to make sure your people come out there to see you, and you have to make sure you're putting on a great live show.
Just to make sure you have just something to give to your fans, because they'll remember that for, if they really dig your music, they'll remember that for a long time. I remember we did a t-shirt contest like in the middle of our set of like our merch, and then later that night we were like by the Opolis, and I saw the kid, he was wearing it, and he was like, you gave me a free shirt, and like we were just walking and we stopped and we like just saw him talking to his friends about our show and how he got a free shirt. And then I heard him say, you guys need to come to the next show she has. And we just looked at each other like, what? It was so sick.
Definitely make time for traffic.
Yeah, trying
and
to
make
get...
sure your phone is charged, because my GPS was not working, and then my phone died, and I was like, where am I supposed to go? And then luckily I ran into my band in the street and just tossed them the instruments, and we got on stage on time.
Always practice and always make sure that you're ready.
I think people should come to the music festival to have a good time, but more importantly, to see what's possible. I think if people knew the origins of the festival intimately in the way that a lot of us do that were there, they would know that we didn't know what we were doing, that we were scared, and that it was a huge risk and a big chance that we took to try and make that happen. That it was a huge risk and chance for the city of Norman, the Arts Council at that time to take, but that we did it. And that we did it because we had a lot of support from across the community, because there were a lot of people with a lot of passion that worked really hard to make it happen and did it for the right reasons.
Go every day that the Norman Music Festival is happening. In between acts that you know, go see somebody you don't know. Literally let your ears guide you, and if you like hearing it, stand in front of them, get some merch, get a CD.
It's the most amazing thing you can do in a weekend. Like, it's the weekend. Like, that's how I would describe it. Like if you ain't got the money to go to Coachella, like, this is where you really should be, really. Even if you want to go to Coachella, this is where you should be.
Personally, I had no idea before I started attending the festival that the band offerings coming out of Oklahoma were so diverse, that the talent pool was so deep, and so I really love finding new gems every year.
I hope everybody comes out to the festival. It's been a labor of love for a lot of people, and making it a decade is a big milestone.
Get out and get around. Just walk the whole festival, walk the footprint, because you may not even realize there's something on the opposite side of the festival that you didn't know was there.
Norman is definitely better for it, and it's nice to live in a place where so many people come out to support the local art and music scene.
If you do music, work in music, listen to music, have wrote the word music, texted it, you need to be out there in Norman Music Festival.
But smile.